Breaking right now, Gwyneth Paltrow has done another 180 on her so-called friendship with Meghan Markle, admitting it's not a real friendship, it's just a text friendship in a new interview with People magazine. Now, of course, let me take you through the background to this via People. In the April issue of Vanity Fair, the Goop founder and CEO said that she didn't know the Duke and Duchess of Sussex very well, despite them all living in the same neighborhood in Montecito, California. I mean, I've met Meghan, who seems really lovely, but I don't know her at all, she said. Maybe I'll try to get through their security detail and bring them a pie. Now, of course, that was a total dig, right? That was a dig at Meghan and the fact that her security has effectively taken over Montecito. Then things got more crazy with a very obvious dig at Meghan Markle in a video making breakfast in her kitchen. But Paltrow didn't like the publicity that came with that. So she did that fake Instagram video with Meghan. However, back to the article, Paltrow told People that she and the Duchess now have a text friendship so far. She said that since she's been busy traveling, the two have not yet had the chance to spend a lot of time together in person. But the Iron Man actress also quashed social media rumours that the two women were beefing over similarities between Paltrow's lifestyle company Goop and Meghan Markle's Netflix series With Love, Meghan. When asked if she would consider appearing on the second season of Markle's show, Paltrow replied, "Sure, why not? You never know. I don't bake that well, but I can always try." Okay, let me tell you, I've interviewed so many A-list celebrities over the years. If an answer to a question is ever, "Sure, why not? You never know," they're telling you absolutely not. That is the translation there. Now, we're going to get analysis from our Royal Mastermind, Angela Levin, in just one moment. But first, Maureen Callahan, who has covered both of these women for some time and thinks they're both nasty, mean girls, had a particularly interesting take on the friendship between Gwyneth Paltrow and Meghan Markle.
They haven't had FaceTime, even though they're Montecito neighbors. Okay, so whatever. Gwyneth shared. I love it when they go, Gwyneth shared. You know, it's a gift that she's giving us this little tidbit of info. Quote: "We have a text for friendship so far. I've been traveling quite a bit." Okay. And then she addressed the rumors that she and Meghan are rivals because they're both sort of in the same space, this lifestyle / wellness / food space. And then Gwyneth said, "I don't like that when people try to pit women against each other." Now, I know firsthand from people who know Gwyneth very well and have for a long time. And these are people who actually enjoy aspects of Gwyneth. They do, but she is a mean, mean, mean girl. She is mean. Okay. So I don't buy it when she's like, "I support every woman and I support," I don't buy it for a second, but it actually, come to think of it, maybe this is a friendship that is meant to be. Gwyneth's mean, Meghan's mean.
But Angela, it's pitiful, isn't it? Like, we all saw what Gwyneth was doing with Meghan. We all saw that she was taking the piss out of Meghan. We all saw that she was making those comments in Vanity Fair, taking a dig at Meghan. Then, because she didn't like the publicity around that, she did that stunt with Meghan. Now she's trying to backtrack and say, "Oh, it's only a text friendship." I mean, it's no friendship. What are you doing, Gwyneth Paltrow? You're allowing yourself to be Markled like everyone else.
Okay, stop right there. Gwyneth Paltrow just downgraded Meghan Markle from potential BFF to text-only contact. That's basically the celebrity version of putting someone on mute. Let's not pretend Gwyneth didn't know what she was doing. First, she took subtle jabs at Meghan in Vanity Fair, then faked a friendly video on Instagram, and now she's backtracking saying, "Oh, we barely know each other." Honey, pick a side. That wasn't shade. That was a solar eclipse. And we all saw it.
Yeah. It seems that she actually wants to stay in the spotlight. And if she can't do that in a serious way or a kindly way, she can just mess it around. And so you don't know quite what she's doing, just like you don't know what Meghan's doing, but she's actually getting a bit of spotlight and people will see her. I don't think she's been seen lately as much as she used to be. So that could actually think, look, I've got to be seen so that maybe somebody will offer me a film to do, and it's very difficult in this country, but perhaps it can help if they just see me, how I look, how I talk with Meghan, how beautiful I can be. Except that she's got a wig now, and she doesn't like the fact that people knew that. They took a photo of her and they could tell that it wasn't actually normal hair from their back, and she was quite cross. So she would say, she'd try and get over that and make people think about other things. But it's very silly, isn't it? She just sort of says, oh, I'm Meghan. I think she's just perhaps thinking that Meghan will get quite a lot of people because she's working so hard and she knows so many royals. But that's not how it's going to be at all. So she's just waiting to see how she can grab a little bit of the spotlight.
Well, of course, but it's like, Angela, she must think we're stupid. It's like this video, which remember came out just after With Love Meghan, she used, we can't play it for copyright reasons, but she used the same soundtrack as Meghan's series. And it was quite clearly taking the piss out of Meghan making breakfast. So it's like, Gwyneth, just stand by your words. Like Martha Stewart stood by her words. She didn't turn around and say, oh, actually, I'm now going to say that I'm text friends with Meghan. It's very weird. Very, very weird, I think.
But I think a lot of
games.
Yeah, I think a lot of actresses get very, very nervous and anxious that they're not actually right in the front line. So they just try and do anything. You can see that. It's just, let me grab this just to get a bit of attention.
And of course, they're both publicity whores. Let's just be honest about it, because this weekend we've had Meghan back on Instagram, trying to distract from all of this.
And using the children to make her more popular also annoys me. Harry can't bear it, but he won't say, no, please don't do that, because he's frightened. And so she just carries on. But she does assume that everybody wants to know everything she's doing, from the small to the large, and she just goes on and on about that, and people don't. She needs to break it, to stop it, to disappear for a few months, and then people say,
oh, chance would be a fine thing. Chance would be a fine thing, because actually at the moment, Angela, it's like constant. She just thinks more publicity is good, even if the publicity is bad. And this video, Angela, which came out yesterday, wasn't fooling anyone.
Caught up on this week's episode of Confessions of a Female Founder, but it's such a good one. And it reminds me of that quote, wherever you go, there you are. That is what my conversation with Cassie is like, because 20 plus years later, so much has changed, and yet we are so much the same. So I hope you get a chance to watch. And in the spirit of memory lane, here are some behind the scenes videos from the making of our photo shoot for Confessions of a Female Founder.
Yeah, not.
Yeah, I mean, that would never work, because actually I don't believe for a second that somebody you haven't met for so many years, 25 years, did you say? And then they just slipped into it. She's a very different woman, because she's been within the royal family and she's married a prince. She wouldn't be the same, actually. Nobody is the same. You can get on, but you're not going to be the same. But in any case, who wants to do that? Who wants to be the same after 27 years? You can tell the story about how you've moved on, but actually, do people want to do that? It's a bit like what she suggested for her children. When they're 16 and 18, they will see all the emails she's made for her, telling them how much she loves them and what clever things she's been doing. I think they'll just go out the window on that lot. And I think this is the same. People don't want to know what you were like 27 years ago. It's now and the future. You can't just keep on going back and think everybody wants to hear what she was like then. Oh, goodness me. No.
Here's the real tea. Media insiders and royal commentators like Maureen Callahan are calling this the ultimate fake friendship. Meghan and Gwyneth? Two women obsessed with optics, lifestyle brands, and staying relevant. The vibe. Frenemies pretending to be sisters. You can't have a text friendship with someone you've mocked in interviews. And Gwyneth's whole, I support all women shtick? Even Wooten's guest Angela Levin said it best. She's a mean girl. Same goes for Meghan, who uses her kids and curated female empowerment to distract from real criticism. It's not even subtle. That's not homage. That's a drag in disguise.
But Angela, there's even none of this is good. As ever official, pure joy in every petal. It's like she's just trying too hard. It's just trying too hard. But look, Angela, I have to move on to this more serious story about Prince Harry and that shocking interview with the BBC, and specifically its correspondent, a woman called Nada Tawfik. Now, I think Nada Tawfik has got away with a lot, actually, Angela, because she's not a well-known woman. No one has really targeted her in the same way that we were targeting Oprah Winfrey. And the reason that I believe she should be criticised is because we were told, Angela, that this was an interview where nothing was off limits, right? So the BBC had an opportunity to ask Prince Harry anything. But Nada Tawfik, and she's even admitted this on the BBC website, felt like she was sitting down with a celebrity. Now, what that means is Prince Harry was able to make a whole load of unverifiable, I would argue, Angela, frankly, quite vexatious claims about the British royal family, about his father, about, Angela, a plot within the government to actually take him out, to kill him. And there was no serious pushback. Now, the BBC say there was no issue here, and I'll come to their description of this in just one moment, but I know you've done reporting on this, and the royal family is yet again furious with the BBC, and they have a right to be, don't they?
Yes, absolutely. I do know quite a lot about this from, as I say, a very, very, very good source. And they told me that originally Nada wanted to do an interview with him, and it was going to be 2 minutes at the 10 p.m. news. But Harry sat there and went on and on and on. She has had a lot of experience with talking to ordinary people and people who've gone fairly well with their lives, but she's not actually talked to somebody like Harry, and not many people have actually. But anyway, she was absolutely out of management. She couldn't really get on with it well, I was told. But Harry talked and talked, and he could find a way of saying all ghastly sort of things. Now, the usual thing is that all the TV stations tell the royal family when they're going to talk about something that might be a bit difficult, and they're just so that they can prepare an answer to that. So if journalists suddenly ask them afterwards, what do you think of that? What do you think? There isn't one person who can just say. They need to discuss it and give a proper answer. But they decided that it was so hot that they would let it out at 6 p.m. and blow it, not bother about the royal family. So they're furious because it was very ill-mannered and it put them in a very difficult spot. And it was also very annoying that Nada didn't think of a way of saying, well, I'm not quite sure that's right. Didn't that happen? Can you explain this, please? So it was just a rush of rudeness. And 1 minute he's saying he wants to forgive his father, and the next minute he's saying, but he doesn't do things properly, he's no good. It was a lot of sort of bad hitting good. And you can't expect anybody to accept what he was saying. It was so disgusting.
Yeah, Angela, you're making a very good point, and I think actually, just for people who may have missed it, let's just look at two of those key moments within the interview.
Yeah. I mean, you can't say that and then expect them to actually say, welcome back. It's absolutely absurd. The thing is, you see, he's still living in the life of a royal, although he doesn't actually do those things, he still thinks he's got a lot of power. He still thinks that he's very important. And none of these things happen anymore. The royal family has changed a great deal. What they said about William, that, they are making a very more modern way of being a royal family. And if that's all that's happening, he's left out way back. And he expects people to sort of treat him in the same way. Well, he can't expect that. And he can't actually attack them so virulently and so unkindly that it's very hurtful. And so whether or not he wants to join them, they don't trust him. They can't trust him. They don't trust him that he might
100%.
sell what they say or anything.
Totally.
And just when this Gwyneth story hit the fan, what does Meghan do? She jumps on Instagram with her kids and a new female founder rollout. Every time things go wrong, she deflects with soft-focus family content or buzzwords like empowerment and authenticity. It's textbook PR manipulation. Angela Levin nailed it. Meghan assumes we all want to hear about her emails to her kids 20 years in the future. Girl, we don't even want your podcast. Yes, Angela. Say it louder. Take a break. Go offline. Live your life without trying to control every headline. Because more and more people are tuning out. Switching gears, we need to talk about that train wreck of a BBC interview with Prince Harry. He claimed the British government wanted him dead. And the BBC? They just let it slide. No pushback, no evidence, no follow-up. Just nodding and smiling like it was a late-night celebrity chat. Dan Wooten was right to call it out.
But Angela, there also does have to be, I mean, I totally agree with you, right? So much of this is on Prince Harry. But does there not also have to be some comeuppance for the BBC here? Because, Angela, imagine if you or I were sitting in front of Prince Harry and we were told that nothing was off limits and you didn't push back at all. Like, I mean, sorry, you've got to say, Harry, wait a moment. What you're saying that there's some type of conspiracy to kill you. Who are you claiming is involved in this conspiracy? You've got to name names. You can't just put that out there as some type of general vibe. It's like you need to name names. And also, Angela, this was the first opportunity where the BBC could have said, please, we need to go back to your claims that the royal family are racist. Are you now backtracking on those claims for good? You know, they are meant to be a public service broadcaster. They're treating him like he's a celebrity, yet actually what they should have done is examined his ludicrous claims. And the reason I'm making this point, Angela, is because the BBC marks its own homework, and they had to admit this week that there had been complaints about the interview. So they posted this headline and they admitted, we received complaints from people who feel we shouldn't have interviewed Prince Harry. Well, I don't feel that. I think they absolutely have a right to interview Prince Harry. But then they go on and that our approach to this interview and subsequent coverage was biased in his favour. Now, Angela, to me, there is absolutely no doubt that the approach to the interview was completely wrong, completely treated him as a celebrity and not as a news figure, and the subsequent coverage without any doubt was biased. That's before we get to your exclusive revelations that the royal family wasn't even told or given a right of reply. But listen to how the BBC responded, because this is what makes me sick. They are just able to mark their own homework and say, oh no, nothing to see here. So they responded saying, our interview with the Duke of Sussex generated global interest and provided our audience with significant insights into Prince Harry's perspective on losing his latest legal challenge over his security arrangements and his relationship with the royal family. Nada Tawfik's tone and approach was appropriate to the context of this interview, which was conducted hours after this court ruling was announced. Nada gave the prince time to express his views while scrutinising statements he made. No, there was no scrutiny. I'm sorry. Back to the BBC statement. Nada asked the Duke why the UK taxpayer should fund his security now he was no longer a working royal. Our coverage of the story included the response from Buckingham Palace and the position of the Home Office. Our royal correspondents offered comprehensive analysis of the implications of this interview, examining claims made by the Duke and reflecting that there are those who disputed some points made by the Prince. We also broadcast the remarks of Sir Geoffrey Voss, who was responsible for delivering the Court of Appeal verdict of the 3 judges. We believe our interview with the Prince Harry was duly impartial and in the public interest, highlighting issues of importance to our audience. And I just despair, Angela, I just despair
that last
that is
sentence. That last sentence is incredibly annoying, actually. You were
Mm-hmm.
doing it they weren't accepting that it was their responsibility. They're just saying, this is the sort of thing our audience want to hear. Well, that's nonsense, isn't it? Absolutely rubbish.
Yeah, the
And
audience are actually disgusted with Prince Harry's behaviour and would have been
yes.
much more appreciative if the BBC had actually challenged him on his
Yeah.
multitude of lies.
Yes, I mean that's what they can't always speak out. They can't do that. It's undignified, and they don't do that. So they have to rely on other people saying on their behalf, "Well, what do you mean by that? Why are you so rude? You've just been very rude to your father, and yet you're saying you want to go back and be close to him. You know that doesn't go together. You know you have to answer. Good journalists would do that, wouldn't they? And they don't do that. But what I've been told is that the royal family are so annoyed with the BBC that they are going to get their own back at some time. They usually wait a while, and then when everything's gone a bit cold and calmed down, they come back with a bang. So I'll let you know when it happens. It's quite right too, but you can't expect them to keep on answering all his ridiculous statements and contradictions, because they become drawn into it, and they're not going to do that. They have to be quiet. They get on. They don't talk about him. Almost nothing, and they don't read about it, they don't look about it, they just get on because they've got enough on their plates, really, and they're not going to be taken down because he's behaving like a spoilt brat.
Harry's making explosive accusations about his own family and the government, and the BBC treated him like he was promoting a Marvel movie. You heard it here. The palace is done playing nice. They're quietly furious, and Angela says retaliation is coming. Who knows? But the days of royal silence may be numbered. Now here's a bright spot. Princess Eugenie stepping up with the King's Foundation, mentoring the 35 under 35 program. And guess what? She's distancing herself from Harry and Meghan. Coincidence? I don't think so.
100%. But the thing is, Angela, for the BBC to get that potentially historic interview and to do that much of a disservice to the British people in terms of the question they asked, I think it is pathetic. Pathetic. And they should be
It's
held
also
to
disgusting,
account. Yes.
isn't it? As well as pathetic. It's a shocking way to behave.
Yeah.
And the fact that Nada got all that information unexpectedly, they should have held it back and then, cut out the awful bits.
Or at
have
least
somebody discussing.
verified.
Yes.
At least
or, yeah.
verified and got a proper response rather
Don't
than just
shove it
broadcasting.
in.
But as I say, the BBC because remember, the BBC is constantly calling people like me a conspiracy theorist, Angela, for things over the past 5 years which have proven to be true. I won't go into them all now, but on a whole load of issues, not just related to the royal family. And indeed, what they allowed Prince Harry to do was broadcast an obvious conspiracy theory that the royal family and the British government are conspiring to kill him, right?
Yeah.
Without demanding any form of evidence, without demanding any names. It's nuts. It's not journalism, it's celebrity propaganda. And for me, it was when I saw Nada write that piece for the BBC website referring to Prince Harry as a celebrity. And I thought, okay, that's where you've missed the point here. Because when you're going in to interview a celebrity, that is different, right? They may be promoting a movie or something like that. But Harry wasn't on the BBC News as a celebrity. He was on the BBC as a senior public figure who was making very, very serious claims against both the British royal family and the British government, and his answers deserve to be scrutinised. Angela, I wanted to just bring up something that you had been talking about, I think it was earlier in the week, and it was this big push for Princess Eugenie to take on a bigger role within the royal family, something which I think we've both been saying for quite some time is a really good idea and maybe something Prince William is warming to. Well, we have now seen the King's Foundation release this video of Eugenie, who has become the mentor for the 35 under 35. This is the video that has been released. Let's have a look.
It is such an honour to be here today at the Garrison Chapel celebrating the King's Foundation and its 35 years. Woo. I am supporting the 35 under 35 programme, which is mentoring 35 people. It's my 35 years, and it's such a great thing to honour His Majesty's celebration of traditional arts, nature, sustainability, and very proud to be here.
Yeah.
So, Angela, this is interesting.
Yeah, she's very easy to talk to. She doesn't like sort of rows and all that sort of thing. And she's very good at working. She works hard and she comes up with good ideas. And she's very interested in the arts all the way through. What's interesting is that she was keeping in touch with Prince Harry and would have dinner with them and lunch with you at LA. But I think she's now drawn back because I think that she's found that the rudeness has got far too much and she doesn't want to be part of that. But she is, a hardworking, open woman, and she'd love that. And I think King Charles would be very pleased to have someone who is the right age and has a love for all sorts of arts and he's chosen a whole load of people. Many people applied for this and far more than they expected. And then she will sort of get it down to a few and then tell His Majesty what she thinks and why. And that will save a lot of things because he's also now very keen, as indeed Prince William is, to keep things modern and not to be so fuddy-duddy in the background. It doesn't matter if he is, because parts of him really loves that, but actually to get young people who would like the monarchy and would like to, paint or sew or, anything that actually it's very important to hear how they think. And I think that's very, very good. And yes, you've got people of all sorts of nationality there. And that's a very good idea. And I think it will help friendship and build up the royal family. It's very nice, I think.
I actually totally...
And Beatrice will join, actually. She was in New Zealand. No, she was in America, winning some sort of award and dealing with that. So they're very good together, those two girls. And I think they'll do a good thing, very good thing.
She's young, relatable, and drama-free. Wooten and Angela agree. She's exactly what the monarchy needs. A modern royal who works hard and keeps her personal life private. Imagine that. At the end of the day, this Gwyneth and Meghan mess isn't just gossip. It's a mirror reflecting the fake, performative world of celebrity PR. Friendships built on hashtags and brand alignments aren't real. And the public is starting to see through it. The same goes for Harry's victim routine. You can't burn every bridge, slander your family, and then cry about being isolated. Actions have consequences. And people are done giving the Sussexes the benefit of the doubt. That's the line manipulators always use. Cut off the world, control the narrative. But eventually the world tunes out. And when that happens, you're left texting Gwyneth Paltrow hoping she replies. Alright folks, that's it for today's Royal Roast. If this Meghan-Gwyneth disaster cracked you up or made you think, smash that like button, hit subscribe and drop a comment. Do you think they were ever real friends? Or was it always just PR smoke and mirrors? And while you're at it, let me know what you think of Prince Harry's BBC meltdown. Should the palace hit back harder? Should the media finally stop platforming his conspiracy theories? Let's get into it.